All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Carey. Carey, welcome, man. So awesome to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, I'm just going to share a little bit about what I shared with you before we hit the record button because I had messaged you months ago after seeing you on Facebook and seeing some of the things you did. And what really stood out for me was some of the posts you were making about your team. And I can't remember what it was at that time, but what really resonated with me was that, man, here is a guy who places such a high value on relationships. And so I have really been looking forward to this conversation and just to get to know you a little bit better. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of start off by turning it over to you, Carey, and letting you share a little bit about your background, what you do, who you serve, what inspires you to do what you do. And we'll just kind of start there.
Okay. I mean, sure. With our businesses, always been an entrepreneur at heart. I just wasn't sure how to take it in the direction that I wanted to take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So we launched in 2016. Prior to that, we worked for another company. So we launched in 2016. We've grown it quite a bit since then. So since then, this past year, we just rounded out 2022 at just over $40 million in revenue just for one of our companies. We actually own 6 different companies right now. So yeah, it's just, it's amazing and it's a blessing, to have the people around me. As far as the team that you're talking about, having an actual team, your team is really what drives everything in business. I don't do it alone, and I know I would never expect to do it alone. Have I done it alone? Absolutely, right? When any entrepreneur starts, we always do it alone, and that's part of it, but along the way, you start to indoctrinate, the principles and the values of actually acquiring a good team around you. And ultimately, that's really what's helped me grow, from 700,000 our first year in business in 2016 to a Inc. 500 company, in a matter of a couple of years. And we're actually Inc. 5,000 and Inc. 500 3 years in a row now as one of the fastest growing companies in the United States, as well as Qualified Remodeler. We were ranked 3 years in a row for Qualified Remodelers, being one of the largest remodeling companies in the United States as well. Specifically doing gutters and gutter guards through Homecraft. And Homecraft is really what's driven the business and my thought process and all the stuff that I've learned along the way. Not only in relationships that we're talking about today, but in marketing and sales and production, and logistics and everything that goes along with business as a whole. So it's not necessarily, relationships are important, but we're going to get to that in a minute. There's a lot of different factors to the right kind of relationships and attracting the right people that can help you not only elevate yourself, but you can elevate them and bring the best out of them as well. Yeah. And that starts with the team.
And so you started in 2016 with a single location, and there was you, if I remember right, seeing from your website, there was you and your dad, and then there was 2 other people that you started with. And so we're like 6.5 years later now. How many locations do you have now, and how many team members do you have now?
We started, and yeah, you're right. It was me and my father started, and about 6 months in, we brought on 2 more people. Okay. And one of them's still here, actually. She's head of HR. Her name's Katie. She's a rock star. She helps us. Awesome. I mean, she helps us grow everything. And the other one's advanced as well into another one of our companies. Okay. But, as far as, just growth in general, were you asking kind of, well, can you be a little bit more specific on?
Yeah, so you guys started with a single location. Was your first location in Georgia?
Yeah, our first location was local. So we have a couple different things. We have physical, then we have virtual locations. We actually have 17 physical locations across the United States. So for Homecraft, this is specifically Homecraft. We have other businesses as well that are also growing, but specifically Homecraft, we have 17 locations. We're out in Colorado. We have 3 in Texas. We have 2 in Florida. We have 2 in Georgia, 1 in Alabama, 3 in Tennessee. We have Kentucky. We're about to be opening up Washington, Baltimore, New York City. We're in North Carolina right now, South Carolina. So
Wow.
we're growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and it takes a lot to do that. It does take the team. Without the team's everything when you start to grow that large.
Yes. Yes.
And to answer your point on how many team members we have, I think I cut checks to 250 to 300 people a week
Okay. Okay. And
between all 17
that's what I
locations
was.
and corporate right here. We have a call center here that, we got a 42 seat call center. We just purchased this building about just under 2 years ago.
Okay.
This time last year, we paid this building at 16,000 square feet. And we said, hey, this building will last us, at least another 5 years. And this was, just under 2 years ago. And look at the parking lot, every single parking spot's full. We're looking at, buying the property next door and turning it into a parking lot just to house everyone here at
Wow.
corporate.
Wow.
Yeah, because we also have other businesses and stuff that are coming as a collective, and it's just just as it starts to grow and you get the right people, it starts to snowball.
Yeah. 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 Wow. And that's what, I mean, I knew you had grown team wise, but I didn't know how big. But you're right. Having those people, that is such an integral part, all those relationships, in order to be able to not only grow to where you have grown, but to continue to grow. And
Mhm.
it is all about relationships. And okay. So what I'd like to do is, now that we've got a little bit of context set, I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of the listeners. Have you ever been introduced to a person or persons that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person's? And so, Carey, I'm just really excited to hear your story, your experience around this, and just hear more about the people that you have to honor today.
So it's kind of a loaded question, because there's not one particular person in,
Sure.
I guess, my life that has steered me in a direction. You have different types of people that you meet along the way. For example, you have certain people that, put you on the course that you're talking about, that actually expose you to something that you weren't aware of. For
Mhm.
me, for example, that person was actually my father-in-law, which I give credit to, that actually exposed me to sales. Before this, I wasn't ever involved in sales, didn't understand sales, didn't know sales. So I was introduced into the sales world, and that alone probably changed quite a bit on my mindset of, okay, well, everything revolves around sales. And that started the snowball on the aspect of growing a business because of the sales mind that I have. And you have certain people, that put you on the course, like my father-in-law. He helped me put me on the course. My dad as well. My dad's an entrepreneur. He had $8 million in assets, and 2007 hit, took him out. You might be able to see that on one of our other podcasts about, his story as well. And I might even bring him on here as well next time. But he was a big influence on the success of the business, because we're not going to get top heavy. We're not going to get in a whole lot of debt. We don't have any debt with our company. And he's really helped put that on the map for me. And I couldn't wrap my head around it, because I'm listening to all these other billionaires, like, they all go in debt to grow a business. And that's how everyone teaches you: go take out this business loan, go do this, go do that, go get in debt. And we haven't done that. We started our business with $2,800 to our name. And we grew it from $2,800 to $40 million this past year. So he's a big influence. I respect my dad very highly. He's my idol. He taught me about integrity. When you talk about integrity, there's a lot of people that act like they have integrity. There's a lot of people that actually have integrity.
Yeah.
And my dad's one of those that has integrity, and that's something that I really grasp from that. So as far as the people, there's certain people that put you on the course, like I was saying, my father-in-law. There's other people that keep you on course, right? There's certain people that ignite the fire, and someone has to keep the fire going. And those type of relationships come and they go, and people that keep you moving in the direction that you need to move in ultimately. Then there's certain people that, become, complacent, with where you're at. They're like, yeah, you're doing well. Why do you want to keep growing and all this? And they're all necessary relationships. They're just different relationships, you know. Then you have those people that elevate your course, that change your course along the way, not necessarily ignited the course, but actually changed the course. So to answer your question on, is there any one person or a few people? It's not really a few. I mean, there's probably hundreds people that probably don't even know I exist, that I watch, that I follow, that help me change the course of what I do in a better way.
Yeah.
I'm not the same guy I was in 2016 and growing a business, and you can't be. If you're the same guy that you were in 2016, now I'm thinking like a $700,000 businessman. I'm not thinking like a $40 million businessman. I'm not, if I want to grow to 60, 70, 80, 90, $100 million next year, I can't think like a $40 million businessman like I was this year. I got to elevate that, which means I have to surround myself with the right people to push me to that next level. You'll hear this around my office. If you're ever in my office, quite a bit. It's a saying I always say, and I live by it to a certain standard, not 100%. And I'll explain that in a second. If you're the smartest man in the room, you're in the wrong room, for one, right? You can take that two different ways. You can take it as a business way, or you can take it as a leadership way. So if I'm a leader, I don't want to be the smartest man in the room. I want to have smart people in the room with me. But as a leader, my job is to surround myself with people that I can bring up to my level.
Yeah.
Right. So then there's the other aspect of it is, if I'm wanting to learn, I'm wanting to grow, and I want to take my $400 or $40 million business and take it to $100 million. I got to hang out with those kind of people. Mm-hmm. So there's two ends of that spectrum of relationships: people that you want to help along the way, and people that you want to be helped by along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sorry, it was a loaded answer. So
no, but you shared some really valuable insight there, and you're right. Those two different kinds of people, like you said, the people that you want to help and the people that you want to be helped by, that are going to help mm-hmm. you continue growing, not only growing your business, but growing as a person. Because it's us growing as a person that allows us to grow our businesses, and mm-hmm. and both are done simultaneously, and yep. So.
And when you look at employees, unfortunately, how it operates is your employees. If I'm not doing my job as a leader to elevate people that are under me, and our business continues to grow, that position is going to outgrow the employee or the worker. The trick is to grow your workers in the same place, or your employees, your sales team, your marketing, your call center, everything along with it. Because if not, you either change the people or you have to change the people, So, and it's our job to change the people. We got to get them in the mindset of what we want, So when you're looking at a business, do I personally manage 250 people? No. Right? I can't. I don't have enough time in the day to get on the phone with 250. But what I can do is I can manage my leadership team, which can manage the people. And that's kind of a tough road to be on, because sometimes your management team, they just, there's spots on the bus for them, but sometimes they're not in the right seat on the bus. Mm-hmm. So a good leader will be able to find out which seat these people belong in, and, get the most out of their potential. A lot of people don't realize the type of potential they have, and a true leader will actually bring out that potential. Not only teach them, but show them the difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah. I know that, you and your dad started this company together, and I want to ask a question around that and the relationship that you have. It's a very unique relationship that you and your dad have, because not only that father-son relationship, but also co-founders, co-owners of this company and companies that you guys have created. And so I want to kind of look at that and just what is one or maybe two really substantial things that have transpired, that have happened over the years of you and your dad going into business together, that would have never happened if not for that kind of, not just the father and son relationship, but the partnership that you have in business as well?
Well, it's, I get asked that question quite a bit.
Okay.
When people are asking, well, how do you work with your dad? You're doing business and you're doing family. How do you balance the two out? Um, and then I have people that say, yeah, I can never work with my dad. I can never do a business with him. And to me, that's sad because, you're supposed to have that relationship, the same relationship that I'm going to be building with my kids. My kids aren't old enough to really, put any of that business in their concept yet. But for me, it's like, when me and my dad connect and we talk, I think the thing that we both have in common is we would both let these businesses burn to the ground before it affects our relationship. And we understand that. You know, I can always go out and I can always build a business. I can lose everything tomorrow and I'd be completely fine. I'll start back over, I hit the ground running, I take off and I'd be just as successful, if not more successful. So for me, the relationship is a lot more important for, me and my father versus any type of, money or business or cars or whatever, you throw into the mix of that. It's just for me and him, it's not. And I'm pretty sure I can, speak for him as well on that because we've had the conversation quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not greedy people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, CEOs and owners, get called greedy quite a bit, and that's just simply not the case with us.
Yeah.
When we started our business, I mean, we went an entire year without taking a paycheck, just to make sure our people were paid, our two people were paid that we had, right? Made sure that, we made our payments to, our lead aggregators or our marketing team that we had hired or whatever the case is. We're just, we're not we don't have that type of relationship that's going to go burn bridges.
Yeah.
It's not about the money for us. It's about building something, building a legacy, something that we can both call, kind of our home.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate what you shared about, the way I interviewed somebody not too long ago who he's in business with his brother. And he said almost the same exact thing about what you just said about your dad. He's like, we wouldn't do anything that would harm our personal relationship.
Right.
Money be damned. We
Yeah.
don't care, and it's our relationship first and foremost. And, the more I do what I do, and the more I experience the value of relationships, that is the most valuable asset that we have, both as entrepreneurs and as even regardless of whether we're an entrepreneur or not. The
Yeah.
relationships in our lives are the most valuable asset that we possess. I think far too many people don't realize that and don't place the intention or that value on relationships. And if they did, they'd be having a completely different experience,
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carey, I just really want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation today. For anybody listening to this, going, man, Kev, I really like the way Carey shows up, what he stands for. How can they find out more? I know you got your core business, but you might also mention you're doing some other stuff too. Give us some info on other stuff you're doing and other things that you might be able to help people out with.
Yeah. I mean, so, obviously, Homecraft Gutter Protection is our big company that does just over 40 million. I think we hit 41 million this year for Homecraft. But we also have, a marketing agency that we started. We started that earlier this year. So we're ready to really take it off because what we realized in the marketing side is what I was telling you prior, Kevin, was that, running a big organization, you start to acquire certain types of talent. Talent that you wouldn't get on a new business. When you start a new business, unfortunately, people look at you like, I can remember sitting in that little office, just people walking in saying, this is what you guys operate, and trying to sell them on the dream that we're going to grow. trying to tell them the dream, that we're going to be $100 million company, $1 billion company in 10 years. They just can't grasp the concept of it
Sure.
because they only see what's in front of them, not the people behind it. And the people is what really drives everything. So with that, within the past 6 years at Homecraft, we have a bunch of in-house marketers, content creators, and people like that, that I recruited, that I trained. And what I realized is out of all these marketing agencies I've hired, and trust me, I've hired a bunch of them. They generate leads for me to consult. And I probably hired 100, 150 different types of marketers and marketing agencies. And none of them can perform. None of them were able to produce results like our in-house team was able to do. So what we did is we said, okay, well, we're going to split our marketing team up with making an actual company to run all of our other companies' marketing, because I know we can produce, because we produced for Homecraft, right? So we're going to produce for all these other companies. And we're also offering the service to other small business owners as well that want to elevate their business. And if we can help them along the way with growing our business, and our marketing agency is Sculpt Consulting, marketing and consulting. So we do consulting, call center, all of that through there. And that's how that business was started. We have a real estate portfolio. We purchased a couple buildings, a couple properties. We have a roofing company. We have a company called Home Pro. That one does, I think that was only a year and a half old. It did $3 million this year. Probably do around $6 million out of Home Pro next year. And we do stair lifts. We're in 4 locations right now for Home Pro. So senior citizens, stair lifts, help them get up and down the stairs.
Okay.
That's what that business does.
Okay.
Then we're going to be launching a painting company, and there's a lot of other stuff in the mix. But that's kind of the gist in a nutshell right now.
Yeah, very good.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Well, once again, Carey, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation today. Any last thing that you want to share before we call it a wrap?
Well, I got a lot that I can share, but it's just, there's a lot. What I'd recommend, if anybody has any particular questions regarding business, I'm a pretty open book.
Okay.
They can message me, they can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And if I can help businesses along the way grow, and I'm already doing it with a bunch of other companies outside of our organization. If I can have any type of input, I'd love for people just to reach out, at least have a chat.
Okay,
So.
Very good. Well, I'll include your Facebook profile link with the show notes and all that, so people will have that. And there you go. You can get a hold of Carey on Facebook if you want. So, Well, Carey, once again, thanks so much for taking the time to have this conversation. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Kevin.
Absolutely.